Hey guys, today I'm going to give you my point of view from inside the cab driving this brand new John Deere 8RX 410 horsepower model 8410RX and pulling this 1770 16 row 40 foot wide 30-inch spacings brand new John Deere ExactEmerge planter. I just went ahead and filled this thing full of seed, so the first thing we're going to do is get in and start it up and head down the road to our next field. All you got to do is give it a flick on the key and she fires up. Give it a second for the computers to load. There we go. All right, this specific model here has got the E23 transmission because this is a 410 horsepower model. In the lower model, the 370, they do make a Command Pro, which runs a lot like the IVT transmission. It's got all the buttons and functions up on here. I've never actually driven one, but it's similar to the new stick on the new combines. So I'll go ahead and put it in forward. Right now we're in 8th gear, 900 RPM. We'll get into a little bit more of that later. We'll clear this so we can see our normal screen. Make sure we're good around us. Still got the planter folded up there, which is the way we want it for transport mode down the road. And as I'm speeding up, I just click this forward to click through the gears. I'm up in 12th gear now. Throttle control is right here, so I can throttle back to slow down. As I pull onto the road, I'm going to turn on my beacon and my flashers. Make sure we're all clear and good to go. This machine will go about 26 miles per hour down the road, which is plenty fast enough on these narrow township roads. It's got 23 gears, so I'm going to turn in up here, start slowing down. I just click the stick back a little bit. Now I'm down into 22nd gear, 21st, and I'll start throttling back a little bit before I make my turn in. All right, once we're in the field here, we're into position, we're gonna switch over. We gotta unfold the planter. So we go over here and switch the modes so that we can unfold. This has a manual or an easy fold option. We're gonna start the easy fold, and then we can just press and hold the number 1 cylinder down, and it'll put the wing wheels down. Now it'll drop the hitch and open up the wings on its own. And the whole time I just hold number 1 hydraulic down and it cycles through on its own and does that. We want to keep the planter in neutral here so that the planter can roll back and forth in case it's pulling on it at all. That way it keeps things from binding. We'll let it run all the way open here, and then it should drop the hitch down to where it's level. There it goes. And now unfolding's complete. So done. Switch over to plant mode. It's going to warn me to keep my SCVs in neutral here, and I don't need the markers, so I'm not going to worry about any of that. We're in plant mode now. And so next things I'm going to do is start everything up. First off, I'm going to turn my PTO on. The PTO runs an alternator back there, the silver thing, you can see it moving around a little bit, and then it runs our EPG, which is our electric shutoffs that turns each row off individually as it comes into where you've planted before. So if you've got boundaries set up, you can see here on my coverage map, anytime it gets to a spot where you don't want it to be planting, it will individually shut off each row unit to control any overlap. So that is turned on, the PTO is running it. Now we turn on our CCS, which pressurizes the tanks. They technically won't pressurize till we set it down, but there's a little gauge in the middle of the tanks there, a little white gauge that will read out the pressure on the CCS, which pressurizes the tanks so that it can blow the seed through those air lines and over to the individual row units. Next, we'll turn on our left side vacuum and our right side vacuum. We'll move over here and look at the hydraulics. So they are in continuous flow, and it'll automatically regulate that vacuum pressure. I'm going to go to Seed Star here and fill my brushes and my meters with seed before I start so that they kick in immediately once I get to where they're going to turn on based on the coverage map. Now my auto track is here This is the on-off right here. I've got the guidance line already set up. I was in this field planting already. So I just need to make sure my guidance is turned on, flip it into gear, and then I'm gonna go to what we call F1 on the E23 transmission, and then I can dial in my adjustment. So I've got this set so that I'm going 5.6 miles per hour when I hit the headland or the end of the end row here. And I'm gonna hit auto to lock onto my auto steer line, and it's gonna use the implement guidance, the guidance it's got on top of the tractor and the guidance it's got on the planter to line them up and make any corrections. I'm gonna push my number 1. I hit the wrong button. Okay, number 1 is down, throttle up, and pretty soon here it'll kick in, start planting. So now it's planting. It maintained as I came into my field from the headland, it kicked in to plant. It's gonna maintain 5.6 miles per hour as efficiently as it possibly can, but I'm gonna bump that up because this planter is capable of running 9, 10, 11 miles an hour and still maintaining accuracy. So I'm gonna go 9 miles an hour here because I got a few root clumps to kick out of the way, and I'm just more comfortable at 9 than I am at 10. Things are moving. You can see our CCS pressure gauge came up. Our row cleaners are doing the job they're supposed to. They're kicking the residue out of the way. I'm gonna flip these pages, flop the screens, and come over here and make sure everything looks good. So my singulation right now at 9 miles an hour is 99.4, 99.5, and here's my singulation. Doubles and skips. Everything above the line is planting a double or too many seeds, which means sometimes it'll plant 2 seeds at once. You don't want that. You want every seed singulated and perfectly spaced. Anything below the line means it picked up a skip, which means it missed a seed in the sequence. So that is planting 99.5 roughly % perfect right now at 9 miles an hour at 130,000 seeds per acre. So that bar's right here. Anything above the line is excess of 130,000. Anything below is a reduction of 130,000, but 130,000 is perfect. That's right where I want it. So it's doing a really good job there. And this also shows every single individual row. Gauge wheels here. I can watch my ground contact to make sure that each row is maintaining consistent ground contact so that it's riding smooth and maintaining a consistent seed depth. There you can see Jim back there. He's running the roller. That levels the field out after I come by to make it a lot nicer for planting. I can switch over here. I can look at the individual downforce on the rows. And over here I'm running my Connect mobile app, which is showing basically just a nice color map for me to look at to see the individual rows, how they're singulating and how they're applying downforce. I can go through, I can look at my seed spacing, coefficiency of variation. I believe that's how you say it. Variation of whatever. Target population, which is all the same here. You can look at the actual population planted, which I don't have narrowed down very much. Mostly what I watch on here is the actual applied downforce and my singulation on this side. That's the basics of what we're doing here. What we can get into is we can set up the turn automation on the ends. So we've got a boundary laid out in the field, and once it gets to the end, it'll do everything for me. It'll turn the tractor, it'll lift up the planter, it'll set the planter down, it'll grab my guidance line when I go back into it. It'll do everything. Right now I'm gonna slow down, pick up number 1 hydraulic, and turn. You can drag the brakes a little. That was kind of an old school thing. We did that in the old tractors. I'm still kind of used to that, but I try not to do it because you don't need to. This thing turns really sharp. And set the planter down. You can see it doesn't tear the end rows up too much. Jim's caught up to us, so he's gonna follow us. He's not always that close. But the other thing I did was grab my guidance line, so you can see I'm directly on line with my guidance line. I am 0 inches off right there. If you get off, that'll turn red and show you how far off you are. Right now I'm zeroed, so that is good. All good things. We've got our vacuum gauges here. Right now I've got them set at 15 pounds. They'll do their best to regulate right at 15 pounds. It's not like the old ones where you've got to chase that and adjust that as the soil. I've got a rock there. Slow down a little, take the pressure off. Okay, so as I was saying, the vacuum before, as the hydraulic oil warms up and cools down, you'll have to kind of chase it. With this system, it's not like that. This system will regulate roughly 15 pounds to maintain your consistent population. So now you can see I've got an inlet here for a drain tile I'm coming up on. I'm gonna straddle it, and watch that. I'm going to slow down so that when I get to it with my planter, I can stop and raise. I'm going to just miss it with that tire, and I can set right down. So we'll have a skip there, which is good because we want to be able to see that with the sprayer and the combine, the roller as we come through anyway. Now I'll dial my speed back up, and just to show you guys here, we'll see if we'll do it. I'll dial it up to 10 miles an hour and see if this thing will automatically shift down on the hill here. So the transmission is also automatic. It was already in a low gear, so it's going to maintain that low gear. Once I get over the hill, our RPMs will slow down because it won't be pulling as hard to try and get uphill. So it'll slow down and still maintain 10 miles an hour because going uphill takes more horsepower than it does to go on flat or downhill. So I'll stick with me here. There, it shifted. It shifted on its own, so we're running less RPM, and it'll do it again once we get moving up here. Basically, the transmission is all automatic. It's going to maintain the best efficiency it possibly can. You can go into the settings here. There, it downshifted, so now we're running a few hundred RPM less than what we were climbing up that hill. You can go in here and go to machine settings. You can go to transmission, and you can get yourself lost here switching between manual, custom, or full auto. You can do all kinds of stuff here. You can individually turn on and off individual lights if that's the way you want it. I prefer to just, at night when I hit the work button here, everything comes on. It's as bright as possible, which is really great in this machine. You've got your system management here to manage everything that isn't directly connected to the machine, and then you've got different applications here. What I'm gonna hope to do later is go in, set up some boundaries around this field. Once I've got a coverage map and I've got all my end rows done, I'll set up a new boundary and hopefully set up the turn automation for you guys so you can see that. But you can see here, I'm running 10 miles an hour, 1700 RPM, 99.3% singulation. My ground contact's good. My row cleaners are maintaining themselves. We're just gonna try not to have a high-speed collision here with Jim in the roller. All right, so I'm gonna slow down as I hit my headlands here. Click number 1 up. Crank it around. Make sure we're off the property line. Make sure we're staying tight to where we were before. Once we're close, hit the auto steer line. Number 1 cylinder down. And I probably ended up with a little gap there. I didn't hit down soon enough. I am not gonna worry about that little gap. I'm gonna pick my speed back up as Jim goes around the swamp there. And we'll go back up to 10 miles per hour. And that's a full round, a little over a round as we control the planter. As we go here, we'll continue to show you guys some stuff, but everything, once I'm turned around, it's all automatic. My job is to make sure that everything here and here looks good. And here, if you like to use that map, which I do a lot. So making sure everything's running right. Essentially, honestly, we're kind of like an airplane here. This thing is autopiloting itself. It knows what it's supposed to do. I'm here to make sure that it's able to do it. All my other controls, it's a little cold in here. I'm gonna turn my heat up a little bit here, turn the fan down. Oh, I also have a gentle breeze coming up from below out of my seat. It's got a heated seat and a vented seat. Also, I've got a massaging seat. It's not all bad over here. I've got the refrigerator turned on. Everything's nice and cold in here. Speaking of that, it's just about lunchtime. I've got my pegs here. I'll call them Harley pegs. But these are pretty nice, especially I really like this. You can swivel to the side, you can look in front of you, you can look behind you. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
See, the 9560 is making a pretty funny noise.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to me. If I'm going not pulling hard, then it doesn't make any noise.
So it's
but
not.
If you start to pull a little bit, it's like it sounds like a gas engine with a lifter, only it's like a flatter sound. But it's like, you know what a race car sounds like when it comes in ticking.
I do. So it's not a hydraulic whine; it's in the engine.
Yeah, that's in, or hopefully it's in the fan or something up there.
Yeah.
Is my hope.
Do you want me to run over there?
But Tim's coming out.
Okay.
It's not throwing a code.
That's the weird part. Usually it'll throw a code at you.
Yeah. And there now it's doing it. And don't even have the digger in the ground. It's doing an 8th gear.
Huh.
So it's got oil pressure. And I set the clutch in and it quits.
Does it do it at idle ever?
No.
Man, so your oil pressure should be lowest at idle, so you almost wouldn't think it'd be a lifter.
But diesels, do they even have lifters?
I suppose they don't have hydraulic lifters like a race car, I guess is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, they don't have that. It was just doing it in 9th gear. Now it did it in 8th gear, and I switched back to 7th, and it's fine. So Tim was gonna come out right away.
Is it a transmission thing, you think?
I don't think so. I don't really know. I don't think it is. How long until you're caught up over there?
Not long. Let's see here. If I look at my coverage map, 2.5 rounds.
Okay, because I don't think I've got the ends good by the Grove.
Well, I know I've got some long rounds to the west of here yet that I've got to catch up on.
Oh yeah, I think you do, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't sound good, but we've got a mechanic coming out to take a look at it. Right now, there really isn't anything that I can probably do, so I'm going to keep the planter moving because this is objective number 1, to get as much of this going as we can. Speaking of that, I got to speed back up. We'll get as much of this as we can done because we've only got about 350 acres left and there's rain coming tomorrow, so we're going to keep moving, try to finish up. There's a big one. $10 miles per hour, 99.5% singulation, 100% gauge wheel contact. Everything's beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you again for watching. Reminder to myself that this is all here because you guys watch these videos. I appreciate that so much. I hope you're having fun watching me run these machines. And also, just a heads up, I do plan on doing a full, complete review on the 8410RX to let you guys know exactly just what I think of it from a farmer's perspective. All right, thank you guys again. Millennial Farmer, out.